Hello, it is Monday, July 17th, 2023 at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, USA. I'm Mitch Miller. This is my video journal. Today, I want to continue to talk about this compensation program that I proposed to link my bank account, my person, my social security number, my identifying biometrics to every state treasury and every federal department in the United States in an effort to validate those accounts, keep them secure, possibly investigate the bankers involved with them, and overall bring less corruption to the entire government process and employees. So I think if we do the $20 per month from each state treasury, the appropriate place for me to be placed on a payroll is in the governor's office for the first year. So I can be placed on the payroll of the governor's office, $20 per month, direct deposit or whatever, however it works out. And this will allow me to partner with a technology expert, whether they're from the NSA or independent, however it is. So for $240 a year out of the state treasury, I can take one of the governor's personal vehicles and we can start to profile the vehicle as to the hackability of that private vehicle, how hackable it is, and all the other profiles I want to do on the vehicle as far as testing and things like that. Right, and then I can compile my list over that year of the most hackable vehicles like I proposed to the Pennsylvania state legislator. Why mess with all these politicians in the state house? Let's start with the top leadership first. Let's do the governors and one of their private vehicles. The following year, we can move on to a department head of the governor's choosing, head of human services or whatever. We'll profile one of their vehicles. So it would basically entail me during certain parts of the year taking a road trip with a government agent that is skilled in technology to analyze these vehicles. Whether it's at the governor's mansion itself, I can document it on a non-Wi-Fi device or on Wi-Fi enabled camera equipment, which I don't agree with for obvious reasons because they're hackable. Profile these vehicles, and that's what comes out of your state budget. If we go with it'd be harder to do an independent tech expert on $240 a year. But that's what is available, and that's what I'm proposing. So I think that's the best fit. If you go to the governors of every state, if they'll sign off on this, we can profile one of their private vehicles, move on year by year, continue on in that fashion. The other thing I wanted to propose, because I might not be the most easy person to get a hold of on the phone, because I have private cell phones, and again, this is coming from text messages I texted myself on both phones when I was up north. It's been over a week since I've done one of these. I was up in Utica working and vacationing a little bit, and I did text myself on both of my cell phones again to continue to establish ground communication in the United States, or ground-based communication at least. It's cellular mobile communication, but it's based off of grounded towers, right? Because for obvious reasons I don't agree with satellite communication technology. I don't think we really need it at all. The other thing I wanted to propose with the governor's office, because I'm not the easiest person to get a hold of possibly, maybe people are trying to call me and unable to reach me. What we could do is develop a standardized answering machine that records messages without playing them out loud. This answering machine is connected to a landline, It is assigned a phone number from the governor's office, and it has a window on top that shows how many messages are on there if there's 0 messages. We put this in a broom closet or a server room somewhere in the governor's offices or government building, and one staffer is assigned to check the message window every night when they're closing up shop, check and see if there's any messages on this machine. I can call in remotely, enter a 6-digit PIN, and listen to the messages, delete the messages, or save the messages. When they're saved, they don't show up on the window. It's just new messages, or maybe it blanks when they're new messages. The staffer that is responsible for checking the messages, they have my cell phone number, so wherever I am, they can text me and say, you have messages at the Michigan State Legislature or Michigan Governor's Office. Click text, I can call. So on each governor's website, governor's office website, state-owned website, there's a directory, a listing of people, I'm sure. Somewhere on the website, you just put that phone number, or you put Mitch Miller and that phone number. No title, nothing, just Mitch Miller phone number, right? So if people fly in from out of the country or whatever happens, they can access that website, they can call that number and leave a message from a payphone, from whatever. So it's a way to have 50 phone numbers for each 50 states connected to my name, which validates the communication systems, validates the phone systems of the governor's office and the state government offices. So that was my other idea for this compensation package. I think it makes sense. All 50 states, Treasury is linked to my account. I may be the most neutral person in the world, as I put out on social media. I keep an open mind, and my ideas and thoughts continue to evolve based off of logic, reason, and fact-based news. Well, we don't really have fact-based news, but the facts where I can find them and the amount of time I have to look at a headline, or, again, I don't get paid. I am kind of a journalist, but I don't get paid journalist salary to look into every study that somebody links to a crazy statement they made, right? I watched 5 hours of C-SPAN, got 5 minutes of good content out of it. I don't have a staff or the ability to weed through all this garbage out there on the media and the internet. I just go with what I have now. If I did have a staff, I would be very responsible about looking into every study that is linked to any kind of statement. And that's what these big media companies, instead of paying billionaire executives, that money should be used to weed through all this stuff, pay people to read and find out the facts, call and verify with scientists, with doctors, so on and so forth. All right, I want to talk about taxes for this program. I'm going to make an argument that I should be somewhat tax exempt from this compensation program, because my taxes would be very confusing for all 50 states, federal agencies, and stuff like that. I'm not asking for much money, really, in the grand scheme of things. And the reason I'm making this argument is, look, I said before, I don't own any common stock, or preferred stock, any kind of stock in the stock market. I was enrolled in a 401k program at Home Depot and at the coal mine. I cashed both of those out as soon as I could. They only amounted to $1,000 a piece or $1,200 a piece. Used them to pay legal fees, things like that. So I don't own slaves. I don't own supercomputers. I don't own satellite systems. I never have, really. My argument here is that I think a person that doesn't own slaves, doesn't own common stock, has made an effort to stay out of that system, should be considered for income tax exemption. We still pay sales tax on everything. There's still plenty of tax out there. Furthermore, I do pay taxes to the government, and I don't think I should, because the government employs slave labor. The U.S. government, the state governments employ slave labor. Until they've adopted the Transparency and Importation Act and created this portal to see what products are produced using slave labor from around the world, every paperclip, every pen that the government uses should be free from slave labor. Until you can go through every tangible piece of equipment that the government uses and say this was made with a decent living wage or higher, the government employs slaves. So why would I pay taxes to a government that pays slaves? And furthermore, or that uses slaves. And furthermore, if the government is building supercomputers with taxpayer money, I don't want to be paying taxes into that. They can lease supercomputers and AI equipment, let the private sector develop them, and have guidelines and policies in place. And then when we've developed the best technology for supercomputing or AI, one that's going to be tangible for 20, 30, 40 years, a lifespan that makes sense, then they can buy that equipment and incorporate it into the government agencies. I agree with using AI to some degree and supercomputing to deliver better services to the people at a cheaper price. I believe it's a way to get to smaller government, right? Less employees because it's automated with AI and supercomputers. If they want to help in that way, that's great. But I believe they want a lifespan and not be replaced every 5 years because a software company wants to spy on somebody in some remote place, right? Or urban area. So those are my arguments for being tax exempt. I don't want to pay taxes to a government that uses slaves and is building satellites and supercomputers, and I've never been involved in this in the stock market and supported so I've stayed out of that for a retirement program because they're building slaves and they're employing slaves around the globe. Now what I will say is if I do have a tangible, if things take off, projects take off, like my novel, like other forms of income come into my personal accounts, and it's a wave or a large sum that is hundreds of thousands of dollars or whatever happens with other projects. If I start selling art pieces privately and I'm bringing in all this income, I will say this. I think it's fair because I don't need all that money. I'll use it for projects for the technology company, the technology ideas, and the social ideas and the anti-corruption ideas. That's what I'm going to use the money for. I've laid out all these ideas and I'm going to try to adopt and get them moving. But I will say this, I'm willing, like I explained before with the with the Twitter platform, like a platform like that where I'm posting my receipts, I've made the argument that you should only be taxed income tax on money that you actually spent on products or services. And I suggested a social media company that has all your bank accounts and tracks it all so that you only pay income tax on those purchases, right? And the rest is retirement, unless you spend it the next year, but you're enrolled in the program indefinitely, so if you do spend it in the next year, it'll be taxed, right? And you might say, well, there'll be a bunch of cash transactions and stuff. Somebody has to get it out of an account somewhere, so if everybody's enrolled in it, someone's pulling cash out of their account, that hits the system, and says they pulled $800 out and they're paying $800 income tax this year, right? So it still works the same way, even if there's micro cash transactions and there's more of them. The cash comes out of the bank somewhere. Anyhow, my idea is, if a lot of cash flow came into me, or a lot of income came into my accounts, Amazon, all kinds of stuff, I would be willing to enroll in this program that tracks all of my purchases. If you don't develop it, I'd be fully transparent with all of my personal purchases, meals, dinners. It's very obvious that I'm willing to do that. So what I would say is this: I would pay taxes on any amount I spent for personal items, personal purchases, above what the President of the United States makes, right? So I don't know what that is now. I think it's up to like $400,000. I can't imagine spending that much in a year. But anything I bought from my personal accounts where the income was coming into, I would, if I go over what the president's salary is, I will pay every cent of income tax assessed on me by the IRS. So that's my proposal for that. I think it's fair, yeah, so that's what I want to get out today. I'll try to keep it brief in case people are distributing this information. We have the payroll number program where I get a payroll number from each state government and federal agency and department. Those are important reference points for the supercomputers to start to investigate different things like corruption and other issues. I get the payroll number, I get the direct deposit, or it could be a check, I guess, that I could deposit. It's a lot of stuff, but and then the phone line is an option. It's not necessary. It's just an idea that I had, and a possible income tax exempt status for people, at least for me, other people that have made an effort to stay out of the corporate stock market, that they don't agree with what they're doing, and they don't want to pay taxes to a government that's doing the same thing, employing slaves and building slaves out of machinery. Alright, thanks for watching. Join me later today when I do another segment.